Hello and welcome to the podcast So Casted. I'm your host, Tara Lockett. On today's topic, we are talking about foundation. Remember, we're going to be covering the 7 love bugs, and I am on the second one, which is foundation. But before we get into that, as always, I want to remind you about the website. Go check that website out. You can find the podcast episodes from season 1 to season 2 up to date, as well as the blog. So check all those things out on the website, and I really appreciate your support. But before we get into foundation, I want to go ahead and cover the great late La Ta-Su wisdom dots that he shared with us. He is an ancient Chinese BC philosopher, and he shares the words of this. The snow goose need not bathe to make itself white. Neither need you do anything but be yourself. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. I want to break this down. The snow goose is nature. And when the snow goose was put in this earth, it was put in this earth in its natural form. And so he says the snow goose need not bathe to make itself white, neither need you do anything but be yourself. Now, that speaks volumes to me, which is why I love this quote, and that is, it gives me a peace of mind that I don't have to be anyone or anything else but who I am, even if that means expressing those good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, here's the thing about that. We can display the good. Of course, we gives everybody something beautiful to look at. We can even explore the bad. You know what? Some bad things happen, right? But when we get to ugly, it's very difficult for us to express that because some uglies aren't welcome nor appreciated. But here's the thing about that. If a snow goose need not bathe to make itself white, and neither need you do anything but be yourself, what does that mean? It means that now we have to take the road of self-accountability. We have to take the path of knowing who we are and loving everything. One of my quote is, remember, you have to love the good, the bad, and the ugly. We don't accept the ugly in society because the ugly can be very detrimental to a lot of people. I'm aware of that. I lived having to deal with ugly in my own life, and it wasn't an easy task to deal with. The mind is not healthy when it comes to that. Now, speaking of the mind, what I wanted to do was share an image of what our brain looks like. It's such a beautiful piece in our mind, right? That is our brain, okay? These are the areas of our brain. When you look at these areas, you see that there is a occipital, I could be saying that wrong, a lobe, parietal lobe, frontal lobe, and the temporal lobe. Now, the frontal lobes are responsible for problem solving and judgment and motor functions. The parietal lobes manages sensation, handwriting, and body position. The temporal lobes are involved with our memory and our hearing. The occipital lobes contain the brain's visual processing system. Why am I sharing this with you? Well, because today we are getting into the topic of foundation. This is the love bug foundation. And yes, I still have my bugs out because there's a total of 7 that we're going to break down. Now, this is Aunt Louise, as I shared. If you go back in the 13th episode in season 1, you hear me talk about foundation, my love bug, and I gave that love bug to Aunt Louise. Now, I'll tell you, as I did in that episode, I gave that to her because from what I learned is through the first 5 years from birth, through the first 5 years of a child's life, that 5 years is a foundation that's set for that child. And that's what happened to me. As I explored things through counseling and had to understand and figure out what I needed to do about my foundation, I gave me the opportunity to look at the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, remember, we are healing our minds, freeing our hearts, and activating change. What does activation means? It means don't just talk about it, be about it. Okay, because some of us had foundations that were very unhealthy. Majority of society has unhealthy foundations. Let's just put it out there, right? But here's the thing about that. If you had unhealthy foundations growing into your adulthood life, because what you learn, you take with you into adulthood. And if you haven't healed it, then guess what? It's still stuck with you into your adulthood. But there's hope, right? We can go inside, dig up that foundation. It's kind of like when you're replanting something, you want to make sure that you get it all the way from the root. And then when you replant it, you want to make sure that area that you're putting that in is safe and okay. And that's what foundation is. Foundation is having the ability to dig up that which is not healthy. And a lot of us, this is what we have to do, even in our adulthood life. So let's erase shame. Let's erase all of the guilt and everything else that comes with it in regards to foundation. And let's lay down the correct foundation for our lives. It is important for us if we had. Now, you have to understand this mentally, because this is one of the battles that I know for sure. Nobody can say and tell me different because I lived it. But this is one of the mental battles that we have, is the foundation that we've already had laid down for us. Some of those foundations could be abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse. All of those things were not the correct foundation. And all of those things that we go through in our traumatic life as kids and we never deal with it, it does affect our mind. This is the most important part in understanding the mind. Remember, the snow goose need not bathe to make itself white. Neither need you do anything but be yourself. What does that mean? Being yourself allows you to see what needs to be worked on. And you can set those goals, right? You can set the goal to create a better foundation for yourself. You can set those goals to heal your mind, free your heart, and activate that change that's so needed, right? And what are we doing? We're confronting these things. We're challenging ourselves. And when we confront and we challenge, then it gives us the opportunity to break those things that were unhealthy for us. Now, we're not pointing blame, but we're taking accountability and responsibility of cleaning up the things that wasn't so great for us, but yet again we push it under the rug or we put it on the back burner, and then eventually sometime in life we're faced with the very thing that was meant to break us. Now, remember, the snow goose need not bathe to make itself white, neither need you do anything but be yourself. Now, if being yourself means acting a fool and no one wants to be around you, or if being yourself means being depressed and negative all the time and no one wants to be around you, I think that you need to go back to the original of who we are. God gave us a brain, and that brain is to be used for any and everything that we need and want. How a man thinketh, so is he. And that's from the Bible. But here's the thing. If it's tainted, if it's unhealthy, if it's broken, here's your opportunity to take charge. Take charge of your life and build a better foundation. I want to thank you so much for listening. You are on the podcast So Casted. I am your host, Tara Lockett, and I want you to remember to be yourself. And if those negative traits begin to come out of you, have no fear, because it is your opportunity to clean those things up. And why do you need to clean those things up? Listen, because your mind matters, and it is the vision of our future.